Hello YouTube. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Zagan and Zagan Rites. The demon Zagan, also Zagam, is basically a demonic force of opposites. Basically, this demon will take current situations and turn them into their opposite. So I have shared this ritual in the new Anthology of Sorcery #3 coming out here soon this year. So, and the reason I'm sharing it is because I meet so many people who need to change their lives around. They need something major that is actually going to catapult them into something better. It's a catalyst for change. So, I would not use a Zagan Rite willy nilly, not just for like small things like, oh, I want to do that, I need to make more money or something like that. That's maybe a little too minor for Zagan. And so if you're going to use Zagan, make sure that you need a major change, because Zagan is one of those demonic forces that takes your entire life as it now sits and flips it on its opposite. So if you've been, say, stuck in a bad relationship for a very long time, and maybe you don't have the courage to change that or whatever, you can work with Zagan to flip that around, to give you the opportunity to get yourself out of a bad situation. I know a lot of people who have used the ritual for addiction issues, or for if they need to like completely switch their way of thinking about something. Some people have used it for weight loss. So go ahead and, really consider what you're doing before you just kind of jump into a Zagan Rite. Because if you don't want your life flipped upside down and you don't want a major change, something that's life altering, don't do it. Now, the Zagan Rite is a keeper rite. So let me kind of explain a little about what keeper rites are. Keeper rites are rituals that are given to us by the demons. Specifically, they're given to specific people, and those people are expected to distribute that ritual as necessary. So while the Zagan Rite is a keeper rite, I run across so many people who need major life changes that I think the ritual itself is necessary to be out there. So, and I did a divination on this, and it was a green light to go. So that's the reason I went ahead and included it in the Anthology of Sorcery. Now, when you do the ritual, make sure that you are prepared for the change. So that means do some planning. So stop and actually think about, let's say, for example, you've been unemployed for a very long time and you want to switch things to their opposite to be employed. I wouldn't use it just as a regular job, right? So like, if you're just looking for something and you're in between jobs or whatever, or you're looking for something better, you don't do a Zagan Rite. You either work with Belphegor or Belial or Baal for that. But if you're going to work with Zagan, you need to make sure you have a system in place or support in place to make that change. So let's say you're battling alcoholism. Doing a Zagan Rite can completely flip that around, can help you overcome your addiction. That doesn't mean you're not still an alcoholic. You still need to watch that. You can't just go back to your old behaviors. You do need to have a plan of support in place, though. You need to actually go to your 12-step program if that's what you're doing, or, make a list of all of the things. Before you do the ritual, make a list of all of the things you stand to lose, all of the things that you intend to replace those things you lose with. For a lot of people, addiction is about coping with stress. So you're going to need some things in place to help you cope with that stress. You can't just do the ritual and then expect that coping with stress will just come naturally. You're just not going to have a choice. Now, there are dangers, and you really need to know about this. So be really specific when you're asking the demon for change. It doesn't necessarily mean that Zagan will actually listen, because sometimes he's like, yeah, okay, that's not going to work for this situation. So you could end up, for like an issue like addiction, you could end up with a really bad health scare, end up in the hospital, something like that. So you need to accept that there are going to be consequences of doing the magic, and you need to have a plan in place ahead of time to cope with any contingency that you can think of. I'm one of those thinkers. I like to think of the possible outcomes of any decision that I make. So think of what you would do in all of these different scenarios. Maybe make a list. Make a list of all the possible outcomes that could happen and what you would do in each possible outcome, because you're going to feel a lot more confident in facing the challenges of change if you have a plan in place to weather that change. So, and you should probably do that with a lot of the magic that you do. So it's definitely a ritual that is not, it's not for everybody, but it is included in the Anthology of Sorcery #3 that's coming out here in a few months. And there's a lot of other good writers in that anthology as well. So it's definitely worth it to get the anthology. And just be careful if you do the ritual that you do have a plan of how you're going to weather the change. If you have questions about the ritual, you're always welcome to email me or to visit my website. My email is swordarcurion@gmail.com. If you can't remember that, just go to www.s-connolly.com. And Connolly, everybody misspells that. It's Connolly. And I have there's an email link there. You can contact me, or with the contact form on the website if you have questions about it. If you're worried about, should I do this? Should I not do this? And, we can talk it over. But I think that's all I have to say about this. I do hope you'll get the Anthology of Sorcery Book 3 and enjoy all of the rituals that are going to be contained in it. That is it for today, and have a great week.